In today's episode, I'll be talking through Succession Season 3, Episodes 1 through 5, the first half of the season. So let's jump right into Succession. Do something, man. People are questioning you. Shut up. Shut up. Okay, yep, do that. Sure, guys. Stupid and dumb. Just an idiot. Get your shit together, son. Fuck it. I loved it. Welcome to the dub cast. Coming off season 2, everything left with Kendall. The war has begun. Definitely have seen that play out in these first 5 episodes. Also saw the end of the proxy battle slash finally the shareholders meeting happened through these first 5 episodes. Digging season 3 so far. Feel like there's been some strong episodes. Eager to see how these last 4 play out. Not really sure what the storyline is there. I guess still the Kendall storyline, but wondering how that can play out over the next 4 episodes. But enjoying season 3 so far. So let's get into our episodes. So episode 1 is titled Secession, and this one starts out with Kendall is just tweaking before some sort of meeting or press conference. He's like sinking in the bathroom, nervous or something. Now, I've never done this. I'm not sure if this is something that people usually do, especially Kendall, who should have experience, I feel like, doing these type of things, so he shouldn't be as nervous. I mean, we see him multiple times this season walk onto a stage and just get after it. So I'm really not sure what this whole nervous thing was about, but maybe he's missing a little bit of the drugs. Probably hasn't been doing as many drugs. Has to be sober. I don't know. I don't really know what that opening was. I need to do a deeper analysis of that. So back on Team Logan, he is all panicked, of course, and he's leaving in the van. And Rogan's like, Roman, not Rogan. Roman's like, do you want me to ride along in the van? And Logan says, want to suck my dick? That's a nice thing to say to your son, Logan. He's real spicy here. And then Roman is like, wow, the sexual allegations pour on. That's a great thing to say. So funny comment from Roman. I'm really appreciating Roman this season so far. I don't think he's been as hated as season 1. I think was the worst Roman. Now we get to see him develop. Still loving his development here and looking to see what Roman can bring to the table. So Greg is with Kendall and Jess. Those are the two that have gone to Kendall's side. And after the press conference, or after he leaves his place, basically Kendall is swarmed by press and Greg's outside with him, and he just keeps yelling, no comment, no comment, no comment. So funny line from Greg there. Surprised he didn't say I invoked like the Fourth Amendment or whatever. Anyways, funny interaction between Kendall and Carolina. He's like, are you in or you out? And she's like, I don't really know. I don't have a side yet. And he's like, I can't have weevils in the fucking flour sack. Good line there from Kendall. Carolina is out, back to Waystar. So once Logan leaves, Roman and Shiv start to wonder, is he toast? And this, I feel like, is a common theme throughout these episodes, is Roman and Shiv slowly starting to realize, you know what, maybe our dad isn't fit to run. He's got all these allegations against him. I'm not sure if this is the best case scenario for him. I don't know if he's still ready and able to do this. This really comes to a head in episode 5, but right away in episode 1 we see, they are starting to question, are they on the right side? Can we, fix this? How is this, like, they are thinking about it. I'm sure they're keeping their own personal interests in mind as well, but interesting to see Roman and Shiv, two of probably the two most close to Logan without like being hated by him for some reason, wondering, are we on the right side? Is he toast? So turns out I was right. I don't know if I didn't mention it on the season 2 one, I don't think, but it seemed like Logan had respected the move by Kendall to do it instead of being thrown under the flames. He repeats that sentiment here. He calls the move decent, which for him is a very fucking high compliment. And we got Logan and Kendall basically shit talking each other through the phone through Jess. They both just say, tell him this, while they refuse to talk to each other. Of course, you can hide behind the screen and not talk to him, but use Jess and say whatever the fuck you want. So, funny scene there. Hugo is online with the raisin, as they call him, the president, and it Logan's like, if I get the shits, we're fucked. Because he's like eating some, doesn't want to eat. He's like, no eating. Um, yeah, this I don't know. This Logan president backstory wasn't really thoroughly explained, but I understand the gist of it. Basically, he can just do whatever he wants with the president, and it's funny to see how Logan basically has more power than the president, due to his media presence and all the different companies he runs. So, wonder if that's a commentary on some other country that we know. Anyways, so Kendall calls Frank and says, you got to side in our team if you want. Frank actually seems receptive to this. Frank has always been a Team Kendall guy through and through. He was on his side through the proxy battle. He was on his side. Seemingly, like, everyone in the family has their sort of person in the company. Like Roman's is Jerry. Frank seems to be Kendall's, but so far he has not switched to Kendall's side through episode 5. But, I think this could be something that turns the tide. Frank switching, I love Frank. And I want to see him team up with Kendall because they're two of my favorite characters. So there you go. Yeah, I don't know. Frank, I get it. He's got to stay for now, especially while he's in the company of others. And Kendall knows that. He's like, don't say shit while I am calling you in front of other people. But Frank's, got to keep it low key. But he seemed a little receptive. He's like, I'll keep this in mind. So in Kendall's car, Greg has been assigned the internet monitor. He's like, this is like OJ, the juice is loose. And yeah, this was crazy. Makes sense though, because the Ford Bronco, driving along, authorities chasing, press chasing. And then Kendall with this crazy absurd line, who said I never killed anyone? Didn't like that, bro. Don't flex your killing that poor waiter guy. You felt awful about it. Don't cap. Don't know if he was being serious in this, but if he was, not a good line from Kendall. I disavow as Team Kendall member. No, not cool. But if it was a joke, fine. So once again, we continue on with the Shiv and Tom relationship. Seemed like everything had come to a head at the end of season 2, but doesn't seem like anything really changed. Shiv gives a terrible "I love you" to Tom, just no effort, and Tom doesn't even say it back. So Tom finally taking a stand, bro. Enough of this shit. Enough of being the fucking joke of the party. He's gonna start to stand up for himself. Well, not really, but here in this relationship, respect Tom. You can't always give her what she wants, and he's starting to pull his own punches and stand up for himself a bit. So I appreciated that from Tom. So we get the return of Rava with Kendall. Rava, we missed you. Not really, but another awkward interaction between Kendall and Rava just seems to be their whole dynamic. They're going to have to use Rava's place to run the operations because Kendall's is swarmed with press and no one really expects them to go to Rava's. So that's where Kendall's base of operations has been for these first 5 episodes, in Rava's place, which has had some funny things happen through that. And yeah, back to Team Logan. Carl gives another great quote, a 12-foot sub of poisonous tree frogs. I believe that's into the reference of where they're at right now. And Logan goes, it's war, fuck off. Classic Logan, fuck off. He wants to step back as CEO. That's his plan for now. And he's on the plane with Tom and Carl, I believe. And Tom calls Shiv. She wants to be interim CEO, of course. But Jerry and Roman are scheming while she was on the call as well. So it's a funny dynamic with 2 planes. We got Tom calling them, and someone calls Jerry. I think Frank calls Jerry. So Jerry and Roman scheme on while Shiv's on the call on the other side of the plane, and it's all out race to become interim CEO. Roman doesn't really want it, but he wants it for Jerry. Shiv wants it as well. So Kendall, through this episode, just seems pretty happy. Totally different vibe in season 2, where he was deadpan, seemed like depressed, bad shit going on in his mind. But in this half season so far, he seems like he's living his best life. He seems very happy. He seems upbeat, almost too happy, almost too upbeat. I think I'll talk about that in one of the episodes coming up. But totally different vibe from Kendall, and I'm digging it. Just for him, so he can feel good about himself and feel like he's doing the right thing. So good for Kendall. I'm appreciating that for him. So more and more debate rages on about who will be interim CEO. Roman calls Logan. He wants to learn under Jerry, and Roman says, "I love you," and "No, I love you" back from Logan to Roman. You know, got to keep note of these things. The Logan Roman dynamic has always been strayed a little bit, and we see that again here. I just don't know what the disconnect is. Seems like Roman is just his least favorite kid, and that's all you can do sometimes, between him or Connor, I guess. But sometimes, what can you do? I don't know. And as soon as they hang up the call, Logan's like, Roman's out, no shot, he's gonna be CEO. So it's coming down to Shiv or Jerry, and Shiv has been assigned to meet with the lawyer, Lisa, their lawyer, or this big lawyer that they use for these sort of cases. And instead of that, she's like, I want you to use you as a consigliere and be like my personal friend in this, which made no sense to me. This seemed like a weird move from Shiv. She says, I have a plan, but turns out Kendall already hired Lisa as his lawyer, so 1-0 Kendall in the war. Yeah, they wanted Lisa because she's this huge profile, can get these cases done, and she's also a friend of Shiv, and didn't tell Shiv until Shiv came into the office. So not great for Shiv there, and good for Kendall. He's got the best lawyer in the city so far. So back to Team Logan. Roman is trying to hook up with Jerry, but Jerry's pushing back a bit. She wants to keep boundaries in their professional workspace, which is totally understandable. Also, I'm not sure she's into the whole Roman thing. I think she just likes, I don't know. It's a weird dynamic playing out, and I'm interested to see how this keeps playing out and how it eventually ends with anything. But as of right now, she's pushing back a bit. So after that, she's officially named interim CEO, and I'm here for Jerry. Good job, Jerry. I like Jerry a lot. She knows what she's doing, and I'm here for it. She deserves it, and glad for her to become interim CEO. Hope it lasts, but I know with this show, probably it won't last that long. So Roman immediately after trolls Shiv after not getting the position because Logan didn't even tell her. So Shiv is going to get on her pissed off arc as usual, because when something doesn't go her way, she gets all mad. And Kendall brings up Naomi into Rava's place. This was just an awful scene. Obviously, Kendall and Rava had dated and were married in the past. And now his new thing, Naomi just coming up to Rava's place, just a little awkward here. Kendall was in her bathroom and saw razors of a guy, and she's like, no, I use razors to shave my legs because they're cheaper than woman's one. Isn't she have $1 million? Like, what are we doing here, Rava? Weird thing here. Unless she's just trying to cap about seeing someone. And yeah, they get introduced, Naomi and Rava, just awkward all around, obviously. Just the situation that is called for has just, yeah, this has been an awkward meetup. So Kendall has to pitch to the PR firm, and he was also pitching to Lisa. I feel like his pitches are very egregious and very over the top. We saw the one with the two girls in season 2 or 1, was that? I think season 1. Yeah, season 1. He's always very energetic and very just over the top with his presentation. So yeah, didn't know if those were gonna work, but they do end up working with both. So he's gonna have a new PR firm. He's got Lisa, but I'm not sure if that plays business wise. I guess it does because he's secured both deals. So good for him. He's got his team ready to go. And he also hints that Shiv may be coming to his side. I predicted in episode 1 that will happen. Hand up, I was wrong about that. I thought Shiv, and her ways of getting back at her dad, as soon as she's out of the know of something, she flips sides. So I thought she'd be right onto Kendall's side. I thought that would be a pretty lock, but nope. So continuing on with this Naomi and Rava awkward, terrible storyline, just terribly awkward, not terrible, but Naomi breaks open alcohol that Rava's godfather gave to her, and it had dust on it, and Kendall just takes this as him being surrounded by brilliant women. After they argue about it, Rava's clearly torn up emotionally about how they just come into her house, do whatever the fuck they want, break open this alcohol that she clearly kept for some reason, and Kendall's just like, look at all these brilliant women I'm surrounded by, to Greg. Come on, Kendall, get a hint, bro, this was bad. So I didn't know. I was pretty down in Kendall's stock after episode 1, but just the way he was acting. But we'll see what happens. And the last line is from Team Logan. He's had enough. All these falters in the episode. He lost the lawyer, and he says, "We'll go full fucking beast." And he seems to be a bit nervous, to end this episode 1. So yeah, that's gonna wrap up episode 1. As always, give my favorite and least favorite of each episode. So favorite character, I'm going Jerry, named interim CEO. So good job. All her hard work in the company has paid off. She pushes off creepy Roman relationship for another episode. Always composed, ready to do what's best, knows what's best. So favorite, gave it to Jerry this episode. Least favorite goes to Logan. He's panicked, hits the ground running. He's rude to everyone in his way. I think he lost Shiv through this episode. I was wrong about that, but didn't seem like a good Logan episode. Also not a big Logan fan, so gave it to Logan for least favorite. Episode 2 is titled Mass in Time of War. So Logan, at the beginning of this episode, is beginning to lose it, or continuing to lose it from last episode. Roman's like, "I'll meet you in a second. I'm heading for a shit shave and shower. Respect. As a guy, we need that, the triple S, so respect for Roman." On Kendall's side, Greg's feeling a little bit uneasy about everything. He has a convo with Kendall, trying to talk things out a bit, and then he sees Shiv and the couple walk into the Rava's house. So, I thought I was cooking here. Shiv moving sides, but I was wrong. So yeah, Shiv pulls up on Team Kendall. Let's go, love the collab. But not really gonna happen. But good to see Shiv and Kendall. At least they're on talking terms. We'll see what happens in this episode. So Roman, his apprenticeship has begun with Jerry. They're planning and scheming. This dynamic is going to continue to play out, and good for Roman. Jerry, I think, is a very good figure to learn under. She takes him in with open arms instead of Logan, who slaps him and is a dick to him and never gives him the respect that he wants / needs to proceed. So, I'm happy for Roman. I think this apprenticeship's going to end well for him. I think he's going to end everything with a nice position. I don't think he's ever going to be the number 1 top dog, but I do think that down the line there will be some sort of position for Roman that he excels in, and with his experience that he's getting now, I think he's set up well. So excited for Roman to learn under Jerry. Season 1 Roman hater turned into ready for Roman to move on and be a good guy. So Kendall and Shiv get into it early. Kendall tells her, "You tell yourself you're a good person, but you're not a good person." I agree. I think Shiv tries to live her life like she has this perfect life, like everything with Tom is good, everything with her family is good. She always tries to do the right thing. I'm a good person, I do this thing, but in reality, Shiv, you're politically scheming all the time. You had to go behind everyone's backs to do that. You're making deals in back rooms and not always looking out for the best people. You don't really care about Tom. You don't embrace his love that much. The sibling thing seems a little bit on and off. Like, you're always taking digs. I mean, not that she's the only one that does it, but you're always taking digs at Kendall and Roman and Connor, especially. And then that back half of the season, wow. I mean, the back half of these first episodes, first 5 episodes I'll talk about. But, Kendall's speaking truth here. Shiv, she thinks she's better than she is. I think that was said in season 2 as well when Rhea was clocking all the siblings. So, Shiv, get on your game, bro. Realize, it's hard to realize your own personal faults. I will say that. It's hard to look in the mirror, but if Shiv's really going to want to do this and be the woman to run it all, she needs to take a step back and, be reflective, look upon yourself, say, what can I do better? How can I be better? So, I don't know, I just went mad deep on that one quote by Kendall, but I think it rings true. And my ultimate prediction is obviously it's going to come down to Kendall or Shiv to end up taking over the company, and Shiv's got some work to do. She can't, I think she's the inside favorite, but I think she's got some work to do to show that she is about it and she can do it and she can be the one. So we'll see. So on Logan's side, he's panicking. Everyone's gone. Obviously, Roman had just left the place. Shiv's gone with Kendall. Can't find her. Connor is not there. Connor's the perfect son of his to be like, where is he? We just need him here to just have a presence here. And also Marsha has not been there. He says I'm losing juice, and I didn't know that this Marsha thing had gone run this deep. It seems like she had, taken a step back, has not been by his side for a long time, and that's surprising. Marsha wants what she wants, and she has an agenda too. But I'm surprised she took a step back and is gone from the picture. So, got to recruit Marsha back in. So, Greg is getting advice from a law school student in her first semester. Believe it might be one of the actors from Willa's play. Could be totally wrong on that. And he's asking for advice because he's kind of stuck in the middle of both sides. And a lawyer, the company lawyer for the Roy's / Waystar Royco, barges in on him. This was just a mad, uncomfortable scene. Greg should have been like, "Hey, I'm busy. Come back later," or "Don't come into my place." The guy just walks in and just walks all over Greg. Basically, felt bad for Greg here, but he could have stood up for himself a little bit better. So he's like, "1 second, can you go outside? I got to talk to my legal counsel," which is his freaking student. But yeah, I don't think he ends up signing anything with the Roys. He's gonna try and play the middle the best he can. Greg's, he's got some schemes, so I'm interested to see where his storyline plays out in the second half of season 3. But as of right now, he's still playing the middle pretty well. Actually, we'll talk about that when it happens. So Tom and Shiv connect by phone call. Shiv gives him the update. I'm hanging with Kendall, seeing what he's about. Tom's still in the trenches with Logan, so it's interesting to see them tell each other basically everything that happens. And the leaks on both sides are awful because you got Frank leaking stuff to Kendall, you got Tom leaking stuff to Shiv. Kendall's stuff is also out there too. There's just no secrecy here. Shiv once again says "I love you," and Tom says "thank you" again. Awkward again, but they need to have a conversation, get together, figure it out. What's really going on here? That conversation at the beach at the end of season 2 was good from Tom to get his emotions out there, but there needs to be a follow up. There needs to be, I think maybe couples therapy could help them a lot. I'm spitballing here, but what do you know? Anyways, Roman has also arrived to Kendall's HQ, and he's here to spy on Shiv, who's here to get Kendall to back down. So both siblings, are here supposedly to get Kendall to back down and be on their dad's side. But they do both have a listening ear for a little second. Roman's is very brief, but Shiv, she hears Kendall out. She wants to see what he has to say. Even though they both are here under false pretenses that they're going to try and get him to back down, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, he's not going to back down in episode 2 of 9. But no, Kendall, he just started this. He's not going to back down. So Greg gets legal counsel support from Ewan. Nice little lunch with Ewan. He says, "I need a lawyer." And Ewan's not loving Kendall airing everything out. Greg's kind of like, "I'm leaning toward Team Kendall. What do you think, Gramps?" And he's not loving Kendall. So he didn't love Kendall in the proxy war. He thought he showed up. Or not the proxy war, before that, when they tried to take down Logan as CEO. He didn't support that. He voted against that too. So not sure Ewan loves Kendall. Obviously, this shareholder vote doesn't really come to happen, but I would wonder where he would lean on that. I don't know. Ewan's got his own set of agendas and policies and ethics, so obviously we'll see that play out as the show continues. Enter Connor into Kendall's place as well, so now we have all 4 siblings, and I always love the scenes with all 4 of the siblings together, this one being in Kendall's HQ, so I'm here for it. And Kendall, he's going to try and sell the pitch that news will become the most important part of the company as the company goes omni-national. He says information is going to be more important than water in the next 100. Not sure if that'll ever be true, but it's a good point. Good selling point, I guess, to try and sway the siblings. I think he did a decent job pitching. He was much more down to earth in this one than his usual pitches. Very realistic, trying to sell his way. I thought he did a good job, but obviously it doesn't end up being good enough. So Roman and Shiv are arguing over Jerry, because Roman, of course, is her apprentice / lover / friend, while Shiv is still upset about not being picked. It's another Rhea situation. I think the siblings know about his sex problem because she mentions it. They have a blowout. Shiv has to walk out. They throwing darts at each other, real stuff. And she mentions how he never has sex, so everything's out there. Obviously, they're a very public company and very public family, so all of their faults are out there. Deep punches pulled here. On Logan's side, re-enter Marsha. She's back into the fold. Gives him the old, you're being a dick to me. Can we figure this out? I'm gonna need things to come back. But we'll talk about it in a second. So nothing productive is happening in this conversation with the siblings. Seems like when they're all four together, they just can't really all get on the same page about anything. The only thing that comes to mind was in season 1 when they had the board trust meeting, but even Roman wanted to just sign on with that. So I mean, I don't know if they're ever going to be able to get it all together. There's just all so conflicting personalities, and it seems like they weren't really that close enough to have a sibling camaraderie. So obviously this isn't going to work. Kendall's like, I got to step out for a second and see my kids. He lied. He's going to see Stewie. He's pitching Sandy, who's the daughter of Stewie. Not the daughter of Stewie. The daughter of Sandy with an I is the daughter of Sandy with a Y. And he's pitching her and Stewie. We'll talk about Sandy's condition in episode 5, but I guess Sandy just speaks for him now. Sandy, the daughter. So we'll see if this pitch works. Obviously it doesn't, but on Logan's side, Marsha makes a pitch. She wants the trust finalized with her 2 seats. She wants Amir's prospects finalized, her son, and she wants to have financial stability instead of a messy divorce with Logan. That's her terms to make sure that everything goes the way that she wants. And of course, Marsha's always playing the game, so she's got to have her piece of it too. So not a surprise there, but they're going to try and accommodate her the best they can. So Shiv and Roman have a conversation after Kendall leaves. What are we thinking? Are we really going to do this? Shiv's pretty hard on Logan, but Roman's still Team Logan 100%. And I'm always pretty surprised when Roman just takes Logan's side, but there's something about this father-son mentality where he thinks he always has to have his side, or Logan just dominates him mentally. I'm not surprised, but also I'm surprised. Roman should be the one to be the least on Logan's side. He's giving him the least, and he's the meanest to him. But I guess abuse works sometimes. I don't know. Or abuse is a bad thing, and that's what's causing this. So Kendall, his plan includes him being leader. Shiv says, no, I need to be leader if I'm going to back you. Shocker, Shiv needs to be the leader and the number one in charge. So this obviously isn't going to work. They all want the power, or mostly it's just Kendall and Shiv wanting the power, but that's going to be a main cog in this. So Shiv calls Tom. Roman calls Jerry. They debrief. They're both considering it, but we know it's going to happen. So Connor is immediately out. He's the first one out. Kendall calls him irrelevant and not wanted anyway. And this was one of my favorite scenes of this little half season so far. Is Kendall just, as soon as all the siblings decide to get out, Kendall just rips them to shreds and gets all angry. So yeah, Roman and Shiv are out as well. Logan sent donuts, and I guess this was kind of like a, I'm watching you, I know what's going on situation. This definitely spooked Roman, probably spooked Shiv as well. Kendall's pretty pissed, obviously. But yeah, once again, great scene, lashing out at everyone. One of my favorites of this season so far. So Roman and Logan have a call. Roman covers for Shiv, says she doesn't want anything to do with Kendall. Was just trying to get him to back down, obviously, when they were both openly listening to him. Meanwhile, Greg, he's got a new lawyer. It's Pugh, eyes on the prize, independent of both sides. Got to get what's best for him through Pugh. We'll see what happens with that. And finally, last scene of the episode, they meet up at the airport. Shiv and Logan are in the car together, and Shiv is going to be in before the shareholder meeting. President, she gets credibility. She can be the eyes and ears while under Jerry. So that's where we end the episode off. Logan placates Shiv with some position in the company, and yeah, so she's going to be part of the company now with an official position. So wrapping up episode 2, my favorite character of this episode was Kendall. He was just trying to do the right thing and bring everyone in, bring all the siblings in, and get the family back together, unite against his dad. He was funny, lashed out seeing the siblings, so that put him over the top for favorite for me. As a Team Kendall guy, always love Kendall anyways. Least favorite, I'm going Shiv. She takes things too personally. Still, I think, especially over Logan, choosing Jerry over her. She's all salty about that as well. She still falls for Logan's trap at the end with the fake position and bringing her in slowly. She still has no experience. I would have loved to see her and Kendall work together. So yeah, favorite goes to Kendall. Least favorite goes to Shiv. Episode 3 is titled The Disruption. So this one starts out with Kendall seemingly interviewing with somebody for either a news or website, some sort of media outlet. He's kind of bullshitting throughout the interview, but at the end of it, he says, I'm happy in my headspace, hope they are in theirs, about his siblings. Obviously, just coming off the episode about all of his siblings basically walking out on him. He's been taking this path of being the one who is quote unquote morally right, while he paints the others as sort of morally ambiguous and going against like what is right. So interesting to see how that interview will play in. I'm not sure if we've seen the end effects of that yet. So as Jerry is interim CEO, we already have her and Logan doing battle on an Israeli project. Jerry pushes it through, but Logan's like, whoa, I don't think I agreed to that. What the hell? Let's retcon this and talk about it again. So already some clashing between Jerry and Logan. We'll see that continue in this episode. Actually, right away when Logan tells the FBI to fuck off, as he always says, but Jerry wants to play ball. They want to ask him some questions. Will they cooperate? Jerry says we should. Logan says nah. I mean, I don't really understand the dynamics of Logan here. Why wouldn't you want to cooperate with the FBI? It seems like kind of a bad decision not to, but I don't know. Like, maybe collaborate with the FBI and don't get yourself in trouble, but what do I know? Maybe I'm missing something here. They do seem to have some sort of power over the media and over the forces that be, so maybe I'm just, I don't know, spitballing here, but it seems like a good idea to cooperate with the FBI. So Greg and Tom are going to have a conversation. Greg has been demoted to a worse office. He's kind of like in the storage room now. That's due to him not being able to align with the company and take their lawyer, and also seeing Kendall pretty frequently playing the middle. So yeah, Greg, playing the middle, you're going to get caught eventually. I wasn't surprised to see this at all. Tom is going to see a friend to analyze the situation legally, and he wants Greg to come. Greg's kind of forcefully pushed to go, but I don't think he ends up going. He kind of tentatively agrees, but I don't think Greg ends up going anyway, so don't think that matters much. Roman is going to do a public piece saying he loves his dad. He agrees after Shiv doesn't want to do it. I'm not sure why Shiv doesn't want to do it, but I know Shiv's always playing some sort of PR game, so she does not want to do that, so Roman is going to have to do the piece. So Kendall is in the car with Greg, Jess, and a couple other people, some people from the PR. They play the good tweet, bad tweet game. Seems like they've played this game before, where they pull up a good tweet about Kendall, and then they pull up a bad tweet and say, oh no, like fuck that tweet. But the good ones are like, yay, look at this, wow. Interesting, like ego stroking for Kendall. I'm not sure what this really provides for him. I guess, well, ego, but I'm not sure I'd want to play this game, especially with the bad ones. People on the internet can be ruthless, but nonetheless, Kendall plays it. So yeah. Meanwhile, at this sort of politician meeting, where both Kendall and Shiv are going to show face, and Kendall's going to make a speech, we get the return of Nate, and God forbid this guy goes a season without showing up. I guess Gil fucked up recently somehow, and Nate's like, it's really nice to see you, Shiv. It's really nice to see you, Shiv. He says it like 3 times. Bro, she's done with you. Like, move on. Get out of the show. Fuck you, Nate. And yeah, Shiv is going to defend the company against Nate. Obviously, Nate's pushing a little bit because he's on Gil's side, who is just doing the Senate hearings with him and all that. So Shiv's team Logan here, not trying to angle anything with Nate. I think that arc is done, hopefully, fingers crossed, but I'm sure we'll see Nate again. So Kendall and Shiv interact at the party, or convention, I don't know really what it was classified as. Shiv asks Kendall to cool it. They're both pushing for change. And yeah, Kendall wants his change to be the positive change, the morally thing. And Shiv wants to say, you know what, let's get rid of our dad, but let's run this company together. Like, we could do something better, make it better for the future. They're both pushing for change. And Kendall notices that Shiv is kind of in his position from season 1, where she's kind of like the underling to Logan, but at the end of the day, she's probably gonna get screwed. So Kendall's like, he has some sort of line. I didn't write it down, but he basically is like, yeah, I was in your position and that didn't really work out for me. So let's see how it works out for you. and I'm interested to see how that works out as well. I think it's interesting that Kendall saw that, and I didn't really think about that aspect of it until now. So good observation from Kendall. So Roman in the interview, they're asking him questions, like they're doing a little pre-interview questions. He doesn't like the questions that they're asking about about him and Logan's relationship, because there's really nothing to draw at here. They never did anything together, or Logan never came to his aid. Those are the questions he's asking, and then Roman has to bullshit about some fishing trip that he actually did with Connor, and never did anything with his dad. So once again, the strained relationship between Roman and Logan plays a part here. He's got to bullshit it, but he does it for his dad. So I don't know why Logan's just missing all this, and I don't know. Give some respect to Roman. So Logan's upset that Shiv wouldn't do it and say anything about him positively. So Shiv tells him the truth about questioning the company ethics. They have a little heated conversation here, and Logan denies everything. And he says, "You will not find a piece of paper that will make you ashamed of me." He says he was on emails, but he claims not to know. I think that's understandable, especially when you're like above the CEO, whatever his position is. All the emails, she's not going to read every one of them. He says, "I can handle the people." I also believe that as well. I do see Team Logan prevailing in this season. I don't think Kendall has a chance really, but could be happy to be proven wrong. I doubt it happens though. So Greg, his story arc this episode is having a watch gift from Kendall. Turns out he's got to buy it. Kendall just said he'd hook him up, which is an ambiguous term, obviously, and that just meant he would give him a good deal, give him the watch guy. Greg is going to have to pay for that. So poor Greg, once again, denied free things from his family that he just walked into and somehow became like a high-ranking position. So Kendall is watching news reports of him getting made fun of, and he quote-unquote loves it. I think this plays into the bad tweet, good tweet thing again. There's some sort of ego thing going on here where he loves being the center of attention, regardless of if it's good or bad. It's kind of weird how often he like turns on this station to make fun of him. I think it's like 3 or 4 times this episode he turns on this station and watches them make fun of him. So not really sure what that's going on. Maybe it's in relation to Roman's sort of thing with Jerry with the humiliation kink. I don't know. Maybe I'm just spitballing here again. I don't know. So Tom has come back from his meeting with his friend who gave him legal advice. His friend said he doesn't envision a situation where he doesn't go to jail. He's all depressed, and he is thinking of offering himself as the quote-unquote beating post for Logan, so he can take all the blame for Logan. And yeah, this is really dumb, Tom. I don't know. He's putting this on Shiv, and Shiv's like, I don't know, maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. But you probably should. That's actually a good idea. Of course, Shiv thrown with the fucking wolves. Never cares about Tom. Bullshit, man. I was pissed. And Tom actually is going to go ahead and make the offer straight up to Logan. Logan appreciates it and makes a call to somebody for a consultation for Tom to figure everything out. So I guess at the end of the day, if Tom got nothing, he got a little consultation on the side. But I think this is a really bad plan for Tom in this game where everyone's looking out for themselves. You also have to look out for yourself. And in the following episodes, he feels really like bad about going to prison and scared about it. So I don't know, dude. Not sure I would do this, or I definitely wouldn't do this. You gotta always find a way out, bro. Throw Bill in there, do something, man. This was not good. Would not want to do this for Tom, and did not love this from Tom. So Logan is going to try and reach the president, and he only talks to the aide, and it's not going great, but they do come to an agreement. After Logan did this kind of thing with, actually I don't know if that's this episode, so I'm not going to say that. So everyone's preparing for Kendall's appearance at the office. He's finally going to make his return to the office. Logan really doesn't want him to come to the office. He talks to Kendall on his way in. They have a goofy, awkward convo. He says, "Another life is possible, brother," and that's funny. Gotta try and pull Tom in. Obviously, he's not gonna, but funny quote there from Kendall. And the security guys going all intimidation on Kendall, but it's not working. Kendall still is in his office. So this is the company meeting, to kind of set everything straight after the Cruz allegations, get everything right before the shareholders meeting. And Shiv is tasked with the speech. Thought she was doing a decent job, although she only got a couple sentences because Kendall gets "Rape Me" by Nirvana playing over the speakers, and Shiv is very upset. Everything goes into a flurry. Another awesome scene. Yeah, just Nirvana's "Rape Me" playing over the speakers, everyone kind of going crazy and trying to figure out where it's coming from and how it happened. and they find the speaker box in Kendall's office. So he did his job. He played the troll here. Probably got some people to his side. So Shiv tries to get a statement out there about Kendall and retaliation with Connor and Roman, but Connor and Roman play the middle beautifully and do not want to do this as well. And so Kendall and his has a political appearance or a just appearance on that show that he was getting roasted on, and there's something that comes up at the last second, which ends up being the letter from Shiv. They want him to steer away from it. Doesn't get it to work. They can't promise that they're gonna steer away from the letter from his sister. So he curls up in a ball in the computer room and is seemingly depressed. So, yep, it was the letter from Shiv. Low fucking blow, Shiv. This is just all-time levels of sad. Just Shiv can't really handle personal things. It seems like with the Rhea thing, she's all mad at her. With the Jerry thing, she's just upset about that. Not as much though. And then with this Kendall thing, during her speech, she's got to get him back with this disgusting what Kendall did was just like a jab at the whole company, not just Shiv. But Shiv makes it personal, brings this huge attack onto Kendall, and we don't stand for that, Team Kendall, man. I was pissed. Yeah, Shiv is just selfish. I mean, so is everyone in this fucking show, but Shiv takes everything way too personally. And she's gonna get her comeuppance because FBI is in the building. Whoa, I was pretty shocked when this happened. So after deliberation, Logan's like, we shouldn't cooperate, we should cooperate. They do cooperate. So that's going to be beginning episode 4. And at least Kendall got a little bit of good news at the end of the episode. He's sitting in the machine room, or the computer room still. He puts a little smile on his face hearing that the FBI raided. So, yeah. Good episode. So, favorite of the episode I was giving to Tom. I thought he was cooking. I read, after I watch every episode, I read on TV Time the comments. He gets into it with Logan. I thought he had some other scheme cooking up, man, and we haven't seen it yet. But it seems like this sort of thing to bring himself down. Like he's smarter than that, right? Right? Like, I don't know. I thought he was cooking here, and if he ends up doing something in that latter half of season 3, like, I will stand by this. But if not, I'm probably gonna have to retcon this and pick a new favorite. I'd probably pick Kendall for the quote, and then the music playing, and then that's it. But I don't know. That was funny. So least favorite. Shocker, I'm giving it to Shiv. She wouldn't do what's good for her dad. She takes a dump on Kendall when he's down, using his addiction issues, which was not cool and fucked up. And she turns it into the big thing about how they're worried about him and blah, blah, blah. Not cool, Shiv. Did not like Shiv's actions this episode. So favorite goes to Tom with a question mark, and least favorite goes to Shiv. Episode 4 is titled Lion in the Meadow. And so this one starts out with Logan asking Greg to come over. He wants to consult with Kendall to see if this is okay. And I don't know if I've said it before, but Greg, man, he's been playing the middle beautifully. Really just playing both sides, trying to figure out what's best for him. Here, he's going to Logan. He's going to get a deal done. But Greg, props to you, man. He's doing a really good job in this. I think he's going to end up on top in some capacity. I think he's going to end up doing really well for himself. So loving Greg's progression throughout the show. He's really learning quickly, and he's got some wits about him. He's more than just Greg the Egg. So anyways, the whole basis of this episode is there's a worried investor who wants Kendall and Logan to meet in a room for 30 days, or 30 minutes, not days. 4 days away from the shareholder meeting, which, by the way, this shareholder meeting has been on the docket for 2 seasons now. Are we, how long is this show running? Is it, I guess it's day by day. It's only been a couple of days, but damn, this shit's been, feel like it's been on the docket forever, man. But, so I guess the shareholder meeting is only 4 days away, and the worried investor wants them to meet together because obviously there's a split in the company. Obviously, Kendall and Logan have not really had contact with each other besides through intermediaries and through not even themselves, but just phones, playing phone tag through other people and stuff. So this is a big ask for Kendall. He's not really sure if he wants to do it. Understandably so. He knows how his dad can just be that way, but I guess we'll see if they do it. So Kendall, they're trying to dig up dirt on him. Roman remembers from his bachelor party, presumably when he married Rava, that they made a hobo get a tattoo of his initials on his forehead, And this was just a funny scene. This is just like, how much money do you have? I mean, they find a hobo and make him go get a tattoo of Kendall's initials on his forehead. Like, and this guy just agreed to it. I mean, I guess for a certain amount of money, you do anything. So that's going to be something they want to bring up. Jerry's like, I don't know if we need to use that. That it kind of implicates you. But Roman, of course, wants to use it, get as much dirt out there as possible on Kendall. And yeah, they'll meet later with him later on the episode. But as for right now, Jerry's got a new man, and Roman's a little salty. She's once again pushing the boundaries, especially as CEO. She understands her importance within the company. I think she kind of wants to keep Roman on a leash, doesn't really want him to get too close. And Roman seems a little bit upset about this. We'll see if he tries to push these boundaries in the near future. But as of right now, Jerry's seeing someone from the DOJ, I believe, the Department of Justice. So definitely something to keep an eye on. I'm not sure if this is a long-term thing or just a one-date thing. I guess we'll find out. So in the Greg and Logan meeting, Logan's going to try and corner Greg into signing on with them. Greg has a bit of leverage, though, due to him being on both sides and not really being implicated too heavily. And Logan notes that, which I guess is a good business tactic, to just be like, you have leverage, take it. Shows he really does like Greg. I think Greg is in a good spot. So Greg is just like, I need to think of what I want. Logan's like, all right, we'll figure that out for you, and then we'll get it to you. So waiting on Greg to see what he wants to get his next position / move up in the company. Meanwhile, Frank convinces Kendall to go to the meeting. As I mentioned before, Frank's one of Kendall's strongest connections left on the Logan side, and he does good work here, making sure that Kendall's going to attend the meeting with the investor Josh. Kind of lightens the details a bit, makes it seem not that bad. The investor's name is Josh, and so Logan, we pan, and Logan's also in the room with Frank, monitoring everything. And this half season so far has made me realize Logan's involved in everything. And I didn't know. Obviously, that Logan's involved in a lot, but he's definitely scheming the most he's probably ever schemed in the season so far, in this season for sure. And this is just sign number one of that. I mean, I feel like he's been sitting on a lot of these phone calls that people don't think he's there, but he is. So Logan, good job to you. So Shiv comes into Tom's office and starts just demanding things of him. So she wants him to do something with Ravenhead, push an agenda on the anti-president, and then thumbscrew Greg, make sure that he doesn't flip. And Tom has been taking a beating. I guess his plan. So the plan that I was talking about last episode was that he brought in the FBI and this was all coordinated, but I guess this isn't true because he's just spent this whole half season whining about how he's going to go to prison. So he's really down in the dumps, worried about potentially going to prison, and then Shiv just comes in and dumps all this stuff on him, and it's like at this point Tom's just like a little toy that people just use to get their means to an end. Like, I don't know. If I were Tom, I'd kind of take a look in the mirror and be like, what the hell's going on here? I don't know. Not loving this for Tom. Anyways, Connor pulls up and he's going to meet with Shiv. He wants to move up. He wants to become part of the company because he needs experience for his presidency, and he's got a little threatening blackmail to pull on Shiv. He doesn't want to deal with Shiv. Noted, another person doesn't want to deal with Shiv. Interesting. Connor, I know, probably knows the schemes behind Shiv and knows that she's going to try and pull some shit. So Connor, as always, just mad funny. He's like, I got shit on you and you don't want to do this. He knows where to play the moves. I think Connor could be a sneaky underdog to pull some shit in the near future. And so we finally get the interaction between Kendall and Logan at Josh's place. Just awkward interaction right off the jump. I should note Josh is played by Adrian Brody. He did an awesome job this episode. Adrian Brody of Luca Changreta fame, Peaky Blinders. Awesome actor. I feel like I've seen him in a million things, but then I looked up his Wikipedia and I haven't seen him in anything besides Peaky Blinders. So Adrian Brody, but I know he's famous. So good job by him playing Josh. But this first interaction between Kendall and Logan is just like cringe and as bad as you expect it to be. So in the meantime, Roman has pulled in the tattoo guy, and you can barely even see the tattoo on his forehead anymore. He's got bangs that cover it. They got to move him to the side, and they are like, if you have the pictures of your tattoos, we'll pay you $1 million for them. I'm not sure if this is the right path for Roman. I feel like this could be something that could bring him down. I mean, we've seen Jerry, when she did her background research on Roman and brought up all the stuff from his past, this could negatively impact him right now as well. We don't know what this type of thing could do. He could get caught in the crossfire in the days of Twitter. I don't know. I don't know if this is the best idea for Roman, but he needs to pull any sort of leverage he has. So might as well get the pictures just in case he needed to use ammo. So there you go. Now, for one of the more odd interactions of the episode, we have Tom coming into Greg's office, and Greg has already schemed everything out. And there's a lot of good analysis here that I read off TV Time. And so Tom, I think, came into this meeting wanting to help Greg, direct him, guide him, be that guidance, kind of father figure in a business sense, like be the one to let him operate everything and or tell him how to do things and whatever. But Greg's already got this already figured out. He wants to do parks. Tom's like, that's a good idea. You should do that. And then Tom brings up the idea of some sort of anti-mythology, or I don't know, I said anti, some sort of mythology where someone castrated someone and they became married as like two guys. And Tom said, I'd castrate you and marry you in a heartbeat. And Greg's just like, okay. And then Tom's like, come on, let's wrestle. I want to wrestle you to the ground. Now, I left this being like, is Tom gay? But there's some sort of analogy and some sort of meaning to this, what breaks back to Tom and Shiv and, being kind of like, I don't know. There's something deeper here. I wish I could quantify it, but I don't think Tom's gay. I think he just feels like he needs to have a certain sense of dominance over Greg. That could be it, because he wanted to guide him. He wants to wrestle him to the ground, and Greg doesn't really want to do that. But now that he's kind of lost Greg under his wing, he's even more spiraling into himself. So I think Tom, in the second half of season 3, might go into a deep, dark place, and we might see something bad happen to Tom. So moving out of this awkward interaction, we have Josh, Logan, and Kendall finishing up their visit, and Josh, to me, it seemed like he was a part of Logan's plan all along. He tells Kendall, you could just cool it down and this whole thing could be over. It could go back to normal. And that right then I was like, I clicked. I always think that Logan and Marcia are pulling some shit, and I don't know if they are, but I always just suspect that they are. So I was like, is Josh just on Team Logan and just tried to use this opportunity to have them both get together? Still, I think that's up in the air as of episode 5. I haven't seen the last 4 episodes yet, so that could be a possibility. I do think there's something suspect going on there. They did, for episode 5, show that in the previously on section, so I think there is something to that, and I guess we'll find that out maybe in the second half of season 3. But anyways, we have back in the office, Shiv drops in on Carl and Frank. They have an awkward conversation where Carl and Frank are just trying to do work, and Shiv's like, why don't you guys update me? Blah, 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 I need to know everything, blah, blah. Shiv, I think, is a little too controlling, as always. Carl's not okay with it, and not okay with it enough to call Logan and tell him about it. And Logan calls Shiv and says they're not really fond of your leadership style. Everything everywhere is always moving forever. Deep quote there, but once again, we see Shiv's faults that, we only have a season and a half left, Shiv, so you got to work on these things if you're going to be the next one. And I don't know, it feels like a tall mountain to climb. No experience, gets mad when people are picked over her, takes everything personally, controlling leadership. A lot of flaws here, Shiv, so I'm wondering to see if she can fix those before the end of the show, and if it's going to happen all at once, or if it's going to be a slow grind, but I don't know. Seems like Shiv's not really fit to run right now. Anyways, back with Logan and Kendall. I think Josh does a good job pressing them both. They can say all this shit and they can blow smoke up his ass, but how are you actually gonna make this work? And he does a really good job pressing them. They're kind of flustered. Logan gives the Cap answer. He's a good kid and I love him. He's just blowing smoke in his ass, up Kendall's ass. And he also says he's going to be the successor. Okay, yeah, sure, bro. That's just not believable at all. I don't know. I just don't think that was true at all. Maybe at one point it was. But even before Kendall went and told him, or even when Kendall was supposed to go and die at the press conference, career-wise, he was like, you never had the killer instinct. So, I don't think Kendall has any shot of being the successor. But I don't think he never did. Well, maybe he did at before, I think right when season 1, episode 1 started, that's when he lost it. And then ever since then, it's just been going downhill for Kendall. So yeah, I don't think that's the case. And Logan confirms this right after. He says, this wasn't true. I was just trying to get us, we got to do what we got to do. And him and Kendall are fighting back and back. Want to note a nice island that Josh has got here. He's got some scenic ass trails, a nice little mansion on an island. I didn't catch exactly where the location was, but good for Josh. He's clearly doing well for himself. And yeah, Logan's health just deteriorates rapidly throughout the end of this episode. He refuses to stop. He's got to show that he's a good guy or whatever, or like good health. He's strong, whatever. It just keeps getting worse and worse. He's just so stubborn though. He won't stop. He won't ask for help. Not good. Last scene, or not last scene, but a couple of last scenes wrapping up. Shiv goes to meet Ravenhead herself personally, and she has a line for him to say about the president, and she gets him to work. Ravenhead was not really receptive to Tom's interaction, so Shiv went and did it herself, and I think that'll play dividends in even the next episode. Not good ones, but yeah. So Shiv, I respect her for at least going and doing it yourself. Jerry drops knowledge on Roman. Roman's kind of doing all this shit with the picture and stuff, and Jerry's like, I don't think you need to be worrying about all that. All you need to be worrying about is how do I advance my personal position. Think about that 24/7. Good advice, Jerry. Jerry's one of my favorite characters. I think she's on the right track, and I think she could really help Roman. I think Roman could have a comeback season here and potentially be Shiv's competition for the next in line. Personal opinion. I think right now I'd pick Roman. Right? Like, if you had to make me pick after this episode, I'd pick Roman. And I don't back down from that at all. I mean, I would pick Kendall, but I don't think it's going to happen just due to his relationship with his dad and everything that he's done in the past season and a half or whatever. But I think Roman's got a shot, man. I do. But he just needs to fix his relationship and make his dad respect him somehow, and that's his thing. Anyways, last little scene here of the episode. Josh drops out due to the whole debacle with Logan. He basically falls and needs a medical doctor to come get him. And yeah, his health is clearly not good. Roman blames Kendall for not giving him water, but I was like, this is on Logan. He should have just taken the cart back. He could have just stopped and said, like, let's sit down. Like, there's a million ways out for Logan. I don't think this is on Kendall. I don't think Kendall did this with malice in his heart. I think he was just like, he kept asking him if he was okay too, like, even in this time of war. And as Kendall and Logan leave the island, who's there but Stewie pulls up and daps up Josh to end up the episode. So right away they're already flying in Stewie, or Josh is already flying in Stewie. Yeah, looks like it's not good. Also, I should mention that it just came to my head. Josh did say that his daughter was sick, and then all of a sudden she's playing in the pool. She's fine. So was this a setup? They were supposed to be in the city, but then they went to his island. I don't know. This could have been a setup by somebody. I'm interested to see if this comes up again, but I don't know if it will. So, favorite character of this episode, I'm going to give it to the guest, Adrian Brody as Josh. He grilled Kendall and Logan to a T, and he didn't fall for any of their bullshit. I loved Adrian Brody in this role. I hope we see more of him, and he clearly did this with some sort of plan behind him, some sort of agenda, and I think, got what he needed and is going to proceed from there. Least favorite, once again, this season has been a common theme. I'm giving it to Shiv. Too much overstepping once again, even so bad that Carl directly calls her own dad and comments on it, and she's not great in her interactions with Tom either. So least favorite goes to Shiv. Last episode of this half season on the Dubcast until next time is episode 5, Retired Janitors of Idaho. So in this beginning, we see Logan seemingly in worse health. He's getting his leg, or as we learn later, his boot on his leg, stuffed with something. He's using a cane, walking around. Not great. So Frank calls Kendall to keep a back channel open. He's worried that there might be a bad outcome in the shareholder voting. And this is something to note because, as I've mentioned, this is the third time mentioning it. Strong relationship between Frank and Kendall. Frank needs a lifeboat out. Frank, another smart business person, I put him right up there with Jerry. He knows that this may not go well, and he might need a life raft out of there. So good on Frank. Always keep your options open. I'll say that. I do think there is a chance that Frank ends up joining Kendall's side if this proxy. Now it's not a proxy war anymore. If this battle between Kendall and Logan's side continues on, I do think Frank, could make the switch if there is a momentum behind Kendall's side, and they do have the back channel open. So, I mean, I feel like that was already obviously stated. So there you go. Um, so this whole episode is revolving around the shareholders meeting that is finally occurring after a season and a half. So right as of beginning, there's no deal between the two sides of the proxy, leaving it coming down to a vote. Logan is trying to control the narrative with the president, and obviously he has the president in his back pocket, but pissed him off with the Ravenhead stuff in the last couple episodes. So this is an interesting dynamic that plays out during this episode when Logan may not be able to answer the president's calls when he calls. How does that work? And what's the world like with Logan out of the picture? Will the president respect Shiv? Will the president respect Roman? Will the president even respect Kendall? I don't know. But as of right now, there's no deal, so that means the vote. And they have a team dedicated to deciding what's going to happen with the vote. The team's like, I don't think this is going to end well. I think the team every time was like, yeah, don't let this go to a vote. It's not going to be good. So before the shareholder meeting, Kendall and Stewie have a convo. Kendall's persuading him to try and make a deal. He's on some puppet master shit, apparently. That's what he keeps saying. Stewie calls for a meet, but Logan senses bullshit between them. A lot of meetings take place in this episode, a lot of deadlines to hit. But, this meeting does happen. And what happened to Sandy with a Y, bro? He's in a wheelchair. He's looking decrepit. He can't talk. He can only mumble to his daughter. And I don't know. He's still very salty at Logan over their history of whatever happened. And after every time they make a deal, there just is another stipulation on this first meeting. The stipulation is that no Roy family member can take over as CEO. I kind of back that, to be honest. Like, I don't think any of them are fit to run right now. I think in a couple years you got Roman. If Kendall comes back in the picture, I would to pick Kendall or Roman to take over. I don't know. I'm just seeing. Don't attack me. I'm seeing too many flaws with Shiv right now, bro. Like, Kendall. Once he was fixed off his addiction. Like, I don't think he's done drugs anymore. I don't know if he doesn't have a killer instinct. What I'm just saying, obviously Connor's not in it, but I think even Shiv is like coachable. Like, I don't think this is terrible. Obviously he's just using it as an angle to like say no Roy family members so Logan loses his legacy family company. But it's like, I don't think that would be that bad. In the case that he wasn't just trying to be salty, which I know he was, but I don't think that this would even be the worst case scenario if one of them takes over. I think all three of them could do a great job. Connor, I don't think would do a good job, but I don't think he's in any sort of way lined up to do it. Speaking of Connor, he's going to push for a position inside the company after not being interested in his whole life. As I mentioned before, he needs some experience on that resume now in order to become president. I'm not sure what he does now, but they're not just going to elect him based off the jobs he's done. He's got to be in the company. He's got to work for his money, whatever. So he wants a job with cable in Europe, and Logan's going to give it to him. Now, retconning everything, hopefully if everyone's already watched the episode when I say this, but Logan may have not been in the right of health during this. So I wonder if Connor still gets this job. He did agree to it, and there's a lot of talk this episode about what Logan's word means when it's not really all there, I think Connor will find himself in the company. There's only a season and a half left, gotta get all these characters dramatically into it. So I would not be surprised if Connor does end up with his position in the company. But interesting to see him push for it, and interested to see if they bring him along like Shiv. I don't think it'll be nearly as fast, but I wonder if he's going to screw up like other people and how that'll all turn out. So hoping to see Connor in the company soon. Anyways, Kendall needs to give the Department of Justice someone similar to the situation that happened in the end of season 2 when Logan had to give somebody up. He gives them Greg, but gives them a heads up, it's not going to be that bad. It's going to be cool. And you can tell Kendall just views himself as way more superior than Greg. I think Greg ultimately flips to Logan's side and stays there for the foreseeable future. I think, Kendall's like the cool, like brother guy, like cool, like brother man, like good friends, like whatever. But I don't know. I think Greg's going to realize that's not the right side. And he's going to flip, and then Kendall's going to slowly lose everyone, and then he's going to be forced to re-ingratiate himself with the business. That's my prediction for the end of season 3. I just think nothing can go Kendall's way. It just never has been. Maybe Logan will pull one over on him and do the old, like, you're going to be the successor, and then not. I wouldn't be fucking surprised. I don't think Kendall has good outcomes in the show. I think this show is basically all about his downfall. But Greg may have to do some investigations and answer some questions that may not be good for him. So that's something to keep an eye on for sure. And speaking of continuing on the Greg arc, he and Ewan meet. Ewan is donating all of his money to charity when he dies to a company called Greenpeace, nonprofit. He doesn't like the move by Greg to join the Waystar Joint Defenses, as especially since Ewan went out and got him his own personal lawyer after he asked him for advice. Ewan's very traditional. He does things by the book, so when Greg asks him for help and he gives him the help, and then Greg just immediately turns around and gets a new lawyer and ditches his help, that's disrespectful to the old man. I get where Ewan's coming from, and I respect him donating all of his money to charity. I do envision him actually giving some money to Greg at the end of it, but I don't know. For right now, this Ewan and Greg relationship continues to be strained and seems very volatile based on the actions of Greg. He could go either of which way. So back in the shareholder meeting, the deal has been announced to Logan, but now he doesn't want to do any of it. And this is when he's in the stupor and just says, fuck no, I think. So, he's not in the right state of mind. So Kendall's kids, they're feeding the rabbit, and the babysitter's like, can we feed it a bagel? I don't think it's good for her. I looked it up. But Kendall's in a rush. He's like, fuck it, let it eat the bagel. I don't know if this is significant at all. I know this is like a meme of the episode, but poor rabbit, man. It ends up sick. Anyways, so one last request from Sandy and Sandy, of course, no more private jets. And everyone's like, this is just to hurt Logan's pride. Obviously, they fly out their private jets everywhere and make it a big show. It's just, yeah. I don't know if Logan would have agreed to this or not agreed to this in the right state of mind, but he's clearly just deteriorating in front of our eyes. I always thought that Logan would have a lot of stability in the show and be there till the end, but now I'm not so sure. He might croak soon, bro, and I don't know what that world looks like, but he's had these episodes before. I mean, we saw in season 1 when he moved Shiv's hand to, I don't need to rehash that, but Logan, he might be done soon, bro. So he consistently brings Tom with him to go piss every time. And after he comes back the first time, he says, fuck them about Sandy and Sandy. And yeah, I said this is a huge gamble when he's clearly just fucked. Like, he's literally like, his brain is just dead right now. Like, well, it's not dead, it's functioning, but it's like he's somewhere else. And they have a whole debate on whether what he said is true. Like, he's clearly in a stupor. I don't know. I think ultimately you have to go with what he says. Like, he's the boss man and you do what he says unless it's like so universally against it, which there's a lot of split sides here. So it's a very complicated episode. I like this episode a lot. Anyways, while all this is happening, Frank is filibustering for mad long. Kendall once again flexes his puppet master abilities. He's going to make his way down there and try and figure out what happened with the deal. And Frank might have talked for like an hour and a half. So, Logan once again calls Shiv Marsha, not good, and then they reveal to everyone involved in the situation that Logan has a UTI. I'm not really sure how that works, but I don't think it would give you this, like, mentally, like this mental problem. I mean, that makes us understand why he has to pee all the time, but doesn't really understand his state of deterioration. So I don't know if there's a further health condition. I mean, we saw right at the end of episode 1, he has an attack. Well, I just mentioned that before, but this seems to be like something that could happen one more time and he's done. I don't know. So interested to see where that storyline heads, but everyone's kind of questioning the health of Logan, how to manage this situation. Kendall just comes in at the perfect time. He just starts going on a tirade, yelling at everyone, and Roman and Shiv yell at him like, what the fuck, bro? Like, he's not in the right state of mind right now. You don't know what's going on. He's like not good. And Roman, I give respect to him because he actually like shows general concern for his dad when no one else really gives a shit. Shiv's trying to push her agenda, Kendall's trying to push her agenda. Connor might have cared, but we don't really see him, so I can't comment on that. While Frank finally hands over the stage to Jerry after filibustering for mad long, and Jerry's got to go on a little talk, but she chickens out and plays a video. So Frank, MVP, I'm putting him over Jerry right now. He can do it for longer, and he's been on like both sides like 3 times. So I don't know if that's even a comparison, but Shiv once again is re-upping the deal with Sandy. Jets are off now or never. There's a seat for Sandy, but she also gets one totally behind Logan's back, so they add an extra seat, but then she also adds an extra seat for herself. Shocker, Shiv adds something for herself that wasn't even part of the deal originally. But of course, Sandy wants to do this because now she's involved as well. So I think initially they didn't want to give 4 seats, but they give 4 seats and then add an extra seat for themselves. So they have more than the other, than Sandy Furness's company's seats have. I don't know, it's confusing, but basically they're still in control. And the deal is finally done between both sides. And right before that, the president makes a call. He does not want to deal with the Roys anymore. He's dropping out of the race. He's not running anymore because they started the rumor of him having a mental disorder slash I can't think of the word, but ever since that he doesn't want to affect his friends and family, and he says no more access for Waystar. Good luck finding another president that gives you this sort of access. So someone's got to do some serious politicking. I'm guessing it'll be Shiv. Maybe that's her way to the thing. But as of right now, they lost the raisin, as they call him, the president. So interested to see if that affects everything in this situation. Finally, once the deal is done, Tom wants a little celebratory kiss with Shiv, and we find out he's been keeping track of her periods to have kids because he needs to do it before he ends up in prison. He's figured it all out. He's going to be in prison for 9 to 12 months. So he needs to, start the process of having a kid. And Tom, this is very confusing. I hope there's a resolution to this in the next half season because I have no idea what's going on with this character, bro. I don't know. Like, is he good? Is he okay? Is he playing a game? If Tom comes out and is like, I have some big scheme for everything, like, I'll be like, I'll be very happy for him. But if all this is true, it's like, Tom, bro, this is like, I don't know. I don't know where this is going. I don't think Shiv even wants to have kids. I hate to say it, I don't think Shiv would be a good mother. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying. Also, Kendall's the only one of them who has kids. Roman doesn't even have sex. Connor's like dating a prostitute. I mean, not that that's good or bad. I respect it, but I think he just started dating Willa. But Shiv, I don't think wants kids. And she kind of snaps back at him here respectfully. So that's a good move by Shiv. I mean, I don't like, Tom's just being weird, bro. So Carl gets on stage. He announces the deal. Kendall pulls up to the stage and just starts saying the victims' names. I thought this was an awful move by Kendall. It makes him look like, once again, he's just trying to step in where he doesn't need to be. But I guess the reception of that was mixed. According to his PR, they actually got some good PR, even though everyone tells them not to do it. But I thought that was a bad move, but I guess I'm wrong. So Logan finally comes back too, and he says, I'd have figured it out. He disapproves of the deal, of course. He's angry at Shiv, and he says some nasty words to Shiv. I forgot exactly what it was, but yeah, it's definitely hard to deal with Logan's bad side once he comes back too and realizes what happened. We saw that with Kendall, and now I'm seeing the Kendall and Shiv parallels. When Kendall came back, I thought he did a good job with the deal with Walter in season 1, and Shiv now with Furness. They're like, oh shit, we did it. We did a job. We saved the company. And Logan comes back and he's like, fuck you guys, like, you didn't do shit, and you did an awful job. So, little parallel there for you. It's probably been noted, like, 3 years ago at this point when this show came out, but maybe if it didn't, I brought something new to the table. So, last scene of this episode, Carrie tells Kendall that Logan has room to talk, but, of course, Logan left early. And then Logan finally decides he's going to block Kendall's number, so no more interaction between them on the phones, potentially. I think this has even got worse and worse as the season's gone along. So I think this will be our little conflict for the last 4 episodes of the season. And yeah, so that'll wrap up the last episode of this episode of the Dubcast, episode 5, season 3, halfway through it. I'll give my favorite and least favorite character of this episode. So favorite, I'm going Roman. I haven't given enough favorites, I'll be honest, just because there haven't been strong episodes he stood out in. He's just been consistently good. But this one, I felt the need to because he was compassionate towards his dad. He showed nice capabilities in answering the call from the president. I don't think I mentioned that, but he was the one to answer the call. Well, no one else would. And he tried to echo his dad's sentiments as best he could throughout the deal-making process to the president. And yeah, least favorite, I'm going Kendall. I'm trying to puppet master this whole thing, but failing. I thought going on stage was a weird move, as I just mentioned. And then he falls for the trap at the end by Logan. I mean, that was hard to predict, but it just seems like Logan owns him mentally. I think stock's down for Team Kendall at the end of this half season. Also, it seems like Logan's done with him, so I'm not sure how this is going to work. So that'll wrap up Succession, the first half of season 3. As for content in the near future, I will have UFC will be the next podcast, I believe, UFC 305 in Australia, and then Succession. Finally, chugging along to this show. Sorry for those of you who've been following along on this journey. It's taken me way too long, but as you can see by that episodes dropping more frequently, I'm ready to finish this. I gotta move on to shows. I just looked at TV time, and it said if I watch all my shows, I'll be done in 2043, and that's like 20 years away. So I gotta get moving. I gotta go. Movies will be coming out in the way. Reviews, pulling in guests, hopefully for UFC and for movie reviews and TV shows, maybe. I don't know. But as always, stay tuned for more content. NFL season starting soon as well. Appreciate you guys. Likes, comments, dislikes, subscribe. Spotify listeners, 5-star ratings, all that good stuff. Keep it easy and be ready for Succession to finish soon. Let's go.